Hi everyone, this is Yeri from Astrology Healing Arts. Today we are going to take a look at the astrological significance of the upcoming solar eclipse on March 29th, examining its powerful symbolism and what this means for us as a collective. But before I dive into the details, I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself to any who are new to my channel and explain the different sorts of services that I offer. I've been studying astrology for about 30 years and practicing professionally for over 20 years. I have a website, astrologyhealingarts.com, that features several different reading options from astrology to the more psychic and tarot-focused readings. I personally prefer to combine tarot and astrology along with my intuitive abilities because they all work synergistically together. The proclivity to involvement with both healing arts and psychic ability run in my family. Both sides really, but the astrology and the pull toward medicine was particularly strong on one side that skipped a couple of generations. The astrological system that I tend to adhere to is traditional Western geocentric astrology, and I use the flat earth rather than globe model in reference to our relationship to the heavenly lights. And this was the way that the ancients viewed astrology, and there are a growing number of practitioners and people in general who are taking the flat earth model seriously again. This view of astrology has practical applications and its parts fit together like hand and glove. So look at the earth however you want, choose the system that resonates with you and go from there. That's going to make things a lot more simple going forward. And it might evolve, it might change over time. For example, I primarily practice Western astrology using the tropical zodiac, but I also study the Vedic sidereal system to increase my understanding of starry influences and their archetypal energies. And today, I'm actually going to be borrowing from the Vedic system to explain in detail what this upcoming eclipse entails. So, let's get started. The eclipse in Western astrology is 9 degrees of Aries, the same spot where Mercury met together with Venus in retrograde motion earlier this month. So anyone with planets between 8 and 10 degrees of Aries or any other cardinal sign of Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn have been and will be experiencing some radical activations with regard to these areas being hit by 2 personal planets and an eclipse that ushers us into a new season and a new way of life. In other words, it's not just any eclipse. This eclipse packs an extra punch due to the simultaneous transition of Neptune exiting Pisces and preparing to enter the sign of Aries the very next day. I'll go over some key highlights, but just to sort of put your mind at ease if you're starting to get very uncomfortable and fearing the worst. This eclipse is actually pretty exciting and it carries a lot of potential for positive outcomes. In short, it's really about manifestation. But remember, we do have 2 retrograde planets, and there are ways to go about in manifesting what we desire that will yield better results than if we just rush in where angels fear to tread. I recently watched a movie that, from my perspective, illustrated many of the qualities that this coming solar eclipse in Aries represents. And I'll share a few clips from this movie here, but I first wanted to highlight some of those things that could be coming up around this time and leading up to the eclipse itself. There's so much symbolism around spiritual growth surrounding this heightened new moon, because that's what an eclipse is. It's a heightened new moon or full moon. So there are multiple testimonies of the significance of spiritual growth and activation. And if we look at the Sabian symbol for the 9th degree moving into the 10th degree, it reads as follows. A teacher gives new symbolic forms to traditional images. And if we take the 9th degree itself as an indication of incoming energies, this is the first Sagittarius degree, and it indicates a spiritual call to action. This could also relate indirectly, of course, to spiritual teachings or a spiritual teacher of some kind, just as the Sabian symbol suggests. And Sagittarius is the sign of the spiritual teacher. So although this eclipse falls in Aries, in the Western zodiac. There is a strong Piscean energy, a Pisces carryover with Neptune, Venus retrograde, the North Node, and Saturn in this sign. And Neptune has been in conjunction with the Sun for the past few days, and this is the last time that we will experience this pair in this sign in our entire life. And there's something very magical and ethereal about their coming together in whatever sign, but especially in Pisces. It's as though we are swimming through a lucid dream. We are becoming aware of the dream, watching things materialize before our very eyes. And this could very well be an auspicious time for many people when prayers are heard and answered, or when ritual spells already performed in the past suddenly produce benefic results. Now, Neptune enters Aries the very next day on March 30th. And as these things immediately take place after the equinox, March 20th, we are being catapulted into what might feel like some radically new direction or situation. But if we look very closely with, of course, both Mercury and Venus still retrograde, we will realize that the old intentions or seeds that were planted have now taken root. And I'm focusing right now on the positive. There could be some negative manifestations for sure, but we are receiving signs and guideposts, and they're appearing to us and showing us what steps must be taken next to actualize our heart's fondest dreams and wishes, provided that these are in alignment with what may be termed our higher cosmic purpose, whatever you think of that as. Now, if we take a peek at the Vedic interpretation for this solar eclipse, we are still in the sign of Pisces in this lineup with the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Neptune all together in this sign, with the eclipse itself in the nakshatra called Uttara Bhadrapada under the rulership of Saturn. This area is situated between the Pegasus constellation and Andromeda, and it carries a strong spiritual significance. And Uttara Bhadrapada is known as the warrior star, which also happens to be an appropriate title for the 9th degree of the fire sign Aries, because Aries is a fire sign named after the god of war, and the 9th degree is one of spiritual initiation. This nakshatra is about manifesting abundance and prosperity, but it is also about spiritual discipline. So the movie that captured my attention as a potential symbol for this eclipse came out a couple of years ago, and it's called Knights of the Zodiac. So for those of you that enjoy anime-type influenced films and productions such as Dragon Ball Z, may have already heard about or seen the movie. Even Dragon Ball Z itself could serve as a metaphor for the current energy, but I'd have to explain why, and that would be a whole other video. But the theme of magic and manifestation, typically gained through focus and dedication, is relevant at this time. So in that animation series, there are 7 balls, and in astrology, we look to 7 major traditional planets or lights. And if you gather the balls together in Dragon Ball Z, a dragon will emerge who is willing to grant your wish. So the basic idea is that you do have to go out of your way to earn or acquire something. It doesn't just automatically appear on a golden platter. So in going back to Knights of the Zodiac, the main character in this movie is Seiya, a street orphan seeking for his sister, Patricia, who has been kidnapped. And by the way, this character is from a different series, but it was made into a movie. And so anyway, he's this street orphan, and so you start the movie from his early childhood.
You can't use it. Only the Pegasus can.
That's why you're coming with us.
And his sister was kidnapped, so later when he's a bit older, he gets captured and informed that he has been chosen as a protector of a woman who is the reincarnation of the warrior goddess Athena. And he is destined to become the Pegasus Knight, who is trained by a female knight in how to use his Cosmo in order to protect himself as well as the goddess Athena, and to find his lost sister. The ability to tap into his cosmo does not come easily. In the earlier part of the movie, Seiya remembers the words of his sister Patricia.
We fight to protect ourselves, but we also fight to protect each other. There's always something bigger than you, Seiya. You'll have to fight to protect that as well.
And although he's on a mission to find her, he has no idea what's coming for him.
We're not done here! This ain't over!
In another scene, he realizes that it's not a joke, that this woman he's been kidnapped in order to protect is indeed actually the reincarnation of the war goddess Athena. Whenever her superpowers get activated, she loses control of them, so it becomes his task to both protect and keep her in check.
Hey! Hey! Are you okay? Wait! What's going on? She could kill you right now. I'm here, sweetheart. Just relax.
So he's thrust into a situation where he must meet with his personal trainer for the job that's been assigned to him.
Those who seek the master must do so on foot.
I thought this scene was particularly relevant because Uttara Bhadrapada literally means the latter one who possesses lucky feet. And Uttara is represented in the constellation of Pegasus by two stars in Pegasus' hind legs, together with the preceding sign Purva Bhadrapada, creating the symbol of a funeral cot. Also, just noting that in Western, the ninth degree as the Sagittarius degree is linked with the horse in all its archetypal manifestations, such as in the sign of Sagittarius. So anyway, this kid is met with a rude awakening when he gets to the top of the mountain that he was forced to climb.
Prove to me you're worthy. Focus. Is that all you got? Your body is here, but your mind is elsewhere.
I don't want to give too much more of the movie away, but if you do like this kind of thing and you want to check it out, it's great timing because we are all in the midst of a huge zodiacal rite of passage at this time, as indicated by the exit of several important planets in Pisces, the final sign of the zodiac, moving into Aries and beginning a whole new cycle.
Let's go. One more round, guys.
In review, here are some key takeaways about what this solar eclipse is activating for us right now, whether you are looking at it from a Western or a Vedic point of view. I don't want to confuse anyone, but this particular eclipse was so powerful to me, and the symbolism just really jumped out this time. I won't always do this with the Vedic, incorporating it, but it really jumped out as just being so vivid right now. So, we have the topic of spiritual renewal based on rededicating ourselves to a path with purpose and taking physical steps to support our prayers and visualizations. In other words, it's not just enough to wish it into being, to think it into being. Yes, thoughts are things with wings and they become greater the more we focus on them. Even my great-grandmother said this. She said thoughts are things with wings. This is not a new concept. This has been known for who knows how long. People have known about this. However, they don't always manifest immediately. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And sometimes we need to do something about it. So this is one of those eclipses that is saying, okay, yes, visualize the thing, state the intention or the affirmation, but also take steps to back it up. You're going to see a greater payoff. You're going to see quicker results if you actually take physical steps toward that. It's about manifesting abundance by building upon our existing strengths and staying dedicated to the process of self-improvement. So we have that Piscean carryover, and sometimes the Piscean carryover indicates a lot of guilt. This would be true for any of the water signs, but especially in Pisces, we would have this carryover sometimes of like, oh, I should have done this, or oh, it's all just too much, and I don't know if I have the strength, or I don't know if I have the energy for it. But if we surrender to that greater part of ourselves, you could say the expanded part of ourselves that has the hawk-eye view on the whole situation, we are capable of so much more. And so it's about honest self-appraisal and self-improvement, not beating ourselves up for any of our mistakes, but staying dedicated to that process of self-improvement. Also, becoming teachable, and not necessarily by outside authority figures, but by life itself. One of the symptoms of aging and mental decline can be traced to being stuck in ideas that have outlived their purpose or relevance. So being teachable in this instance means being willing to learn more, to try something new. And if we fall, to get up and try again. And we learn that from Saya. If you watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. Life, okay, this is the grand finale here. Life is not always fair. And we see that every day. If we take a good hard look at what's going on in the world and our own lives, we all have our stories, we all have our dramas and our traumas. And being a spiritual warrior means understanding that we are living in an unfair, unjust, sometimes cruel society. But despite how much hostility we might be met with, we are still willing to take a stand for our convictions and to protect our loved ones. Some things are worth fighting for. Also, to protect what is sacred in our hearts, in our lives, in the world in general. This is my summary for the solar eclipse in March 2025. This is an amazing eclipse portal that we are currently making our way through. And when we look back a year from now, we might find it even more amazing than we do now. Miracles are possible. Stay focused. And don't let Mercury and Venus retrograde bring you down. They are just showing us what we still need to heal, upgrade, or improve. Stay well, stay inspired, and if you would like to book a reading with me for guidance or insight on how this eclipse could be affecting you personally, you can book a session directly on my website, astrologyhealingarts.com.